Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you. I know that life outside is so hard. There's a lot of things that can tear you apart.
Koinant! Good evening, fellow South Africans. Let me just sort out my camera. My gosh, the little gremlins have been around while I've been busy, haven't they? Oh well, I guess it's just going to have to look a bit wonky, guys. I'm sorry about that. Oh, that's not too bad. Right, now, tonight we've got a cracker again. Isn't that cool? Tonight we meet Marius Venter, who is an extraordinary individual. He's successful at business, in fact everything he puts his hand to, very involved with the Plett community, and he is a philanthropist. Just last week he organized the delivery of several thousand food parcels to impoverished people of all races in the Plettenberg Bay region. Let's have a look at that. Quite extraordinary. Let me just get that up, guys. Here we go.
Oh, I see fresh blood, yay. The old blood very tired. Yeah, it's about time you did something.
Once you found me, huh?
I'm not
You don't phone, you don't write, you don't...
Okay, you can see the amazing amount of food parcels that were prepared for all races in the Plettenberg area. Absolutely extraordinary, thousands of them. Okay, there you go, guys. Now, isn't that quite an extraordinary thing to see? What an extraordinary man. Now, I've been to Plett several times in the past, and I have to tell you that it is one of the most incredible places in the world. I'm going to show you a few pictures I took of Plett, or Plettenberg Bay, from my room at Ocean Watch B&B back about 12, 13 years ago. Let's have a look at those quickly, and then we'll get Marius Venter on. That's from the room at Ocean Watch. You can see Plettenberg Bay in the background. Absolutely gorgeous. Just another image of that incredible bay. And the famous dolphins in Plett. Can't leave them out. Great sculpture. Alright, now without further ado, let me get my friend Marius on so we can start the discussion. Okay, here we go. Hi Marius.
Scott, good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, and yourself?
Excellent. There you are. Now we see you. Right. I was just doing a bit of an intro about yourself, and obviously we're going to find out a lot more about you tonight. And I also played a short video clip of all those food parcels that were delivered last week. And what I'd like to just start off by is just offering you a personal apology that we got it so wrong in the story that we presented last week, which we took off as soon as we got your Facebook message. And that was that the suggestion was that a certain group of people had been omitted, and that is totally incorrect, and I do apologize most sincerely for that.
Not a problem at all.
Right. Now, let's get on to the serious stuff. You've had an amazing life, and as I mentioned in the intro promo that we did, our paths have crossed in the past on a couple of times. Now, tell our viewers a bit of your background, where you grew up, how you got into business, what you've been. We'll look more about specific things like Tanzania and so on as a separate part. But just talk about your early years.
Yeah, Scott, thank you very much for this opportunity. I've been involved in business my whole life, even from school days. Being an entrepreneur, just love business. You know, I'm a very creative guy. I love to put ideas together. I've most probably got 10 or 15 patents already registered all over the world, design protections. And after school, I went to the Air Force to become a helicopter pilot. Unfortunately, that didn't work out due to the transformation from the old regime to the new one. All the pilot posts were frozen at that time. And then I went into business. And one of the first successes I had was to start the R5 shops in South Africa, where, you know, everything inside the shop would be R5. And from there, I just went into business further. Sold the business. I went into development. After development, I then endured to go to Tanzania and start in diamond mining.
Okay, now
I was in a little town called
let's talk about Tanzania, because I have a wonderful connection with Tanzania. I was born in Dar es Salaam, which is obviously the capital of Tanzania, and grew up in a little town called Iringa, which is in the Southern Highlands. And Tanzania is God's own earth. I mean, you must have had an amazing time in Tanzania.
Scott, amazing. You know, on arrival in Tanzania, you know, in those days, not a lot of white people actually went to Tanzania on business. It was something that was turning. And Julius Nyerere in the 40s, you know, he's established such an amazing culture in Tanzania, where, you know, something quite interesting. When I arrived there, whenever you go anywhere, the people will greet you with their hands, and I never could understand why they did that. And one evening, President McCarthy told me actually that in, I think, 1946, if I remember correctly, the president said that whenever the white man will come to Africa, in those days they all wore hats.
Ah,
So by doing this, it was symbolic to taking your hat off and showing respect. And Julius Nyerere said that yeah, once the white men come here, they will bring wisdom and money, and then we'll thrive.
mm,
And if you see what's happening in Tanzania today, and how absolutely the mining industry in Geita, in Tanzania, in the area of Shinyanga, where the Williamson diamond mine is currently, I think it's the oldest diamond mine in the world, and also the biggest diamond mine in the world.
right.
So yeah, I stayed there for 5 years, commuting up and down to Pretoria, where my family was staying, and I had unbelievable, memories of
Yeah.
just the place is unbelievable. I think I mentioned to you this morning about this little place called Pemba Island.
Tell that story. That's amazing.
Yeah, during my stay in Tanzania, became very close to the president, as I said, President Kapa, and they introduced me to this Pemba Island just off Zanzibar, about 20 minutes by a small plane. And on my arrival, I could not believe how beautiful this place was. I said to you this morning, if you go on the internet and you look for Pemba in Tanzania, the water on my arrival was not turquoise or blue like we know in Bahamas or in Mauritius. It was a purple color.
Wow.
And on my arrival, as we flew over to land on the runway, I saw just thousands and thousands of these mango trees. And why I actually went there is the president offered me to take over the island and then commercialize the mango trade there. And on my arrival, I just my heart broke to see the poverty. Number one, and my whole life I've had a heart for people that suffers. It's just the way I think I've been put together by the Almighty Lord.
Right.
And so on my arrival there, I just saw all these people. There are thousands of people just sitting at the airport, all around the road, on the roads, selling mangoes. There are literally thousands of people. Each one of them are selling mangoes. And I just thought there's no way in life that I can commercialize this place. It's and what makes it so interesting is it's actually on a volcano island, and if you do your research, mango trees between 13 and 15 years, the actual sweetness of the fruit will go down. Now these trees are hundreds of years old.
Wow.
They sweet. It's like sugar. So I then went and I stayed at the Manta Ray Lodge, and please go and have a look at that on the internet as well. It's absolutely pristine and amazingly beautiful.
Right.
And I just decided, I flew back after 2 days. I went straight back to the president. I said, I can never do this. I can never take the livelihood away from these people. And at first he tried to convince me and said, but why don't you just employ these people? I said, but there's just too many of them. It won't make any business sense to take the whole little island and employ all the people, and then it will never be viable financially. And interestingly, he looked at me, that I'll never forget. It was a Saturday afternoon. He looked at me and he said, I'm never going to commercialize that island. So that was one of my most fondest memories of Tanzania, where I had that special moment with the president where he decided, you know what, Marius, I hear your heart, and I am definitely not going ahead to commercialize this. I think at this stage it's just one or two lodges on the Mombasa side of Kenya. Actually, at night when you're at Manta Ray, you can actually see Mombasa in the far distance. So yeah, it's just absolutely, it was an amazing time of my life, which I'll never forget.
Right. And we're talking about amazing parts of Tanzania. Did you go into Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater?
Oh yeah, several times. That is, you almost don't have words to explain to people what you see there. Like Plettenberg Bay is a feeling, that's our brand.
Yeah.
There's a specific feeling or spirit to a place. And whenever you go to Kilimanjaro or to those area of Ngorongoro crater and Serengeti, there's a spirit in those areas.
Yeah.
Which we can't explain to people. You got to actually go there to experience the magnitude of all those wild beasts, the zebras, and and everything that goes with it. No, it's as I said, I don't have actually words to explain to you the beauty and what you feel when you see that and when you're in that vicinity.
Right. I was in Ngorongoro Crater in 2016, and it just blew me away. There's that part where the elephants go to die. The very old elephants who are sort of like in their 80s, and their teeth have ground down, and the grass over there apparently is a lot softer than in Serengeti, and for some reason they know they can go down there and live out their last couple of years. Have you heard that story?
I've heard that story. I've personally have not been to that specific gravesite, but I've heard about that from several people. If you speak to when you go into Kenya and you speak to some of the Maasai guys, they always love to tell that story about the big elephants with a big tusk that goes to one specific place to die. Yeah. But I've unfortunately did not go there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one of my fondest memories of Tanzania when I was in Iringa. I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, just a little kid. But because it was so safe, I was able to wander around, and I used to go into town. We were quite close to town. And the markets in Iringa were the markets in Iringa were always very, very busy, especially on a Saturday. And I had a pet chameleon. I used to put this chameleon on my shoulder, and you know how the Africans like chameleons. Well, they think it's evil. They just run. I would walk into the market with this chameleon on my shoulder, and they'll look and they'll say, "How?" Be running off all over the place. I never had a problem walking through the markets. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Now, you tell me about the mine that you had in Tanzania. What were you said diamonds, was it?
Yeah, sure. We did. I was actually invited. We did a sponsorship for a boxer in Tanzania, and what actually happened was friends of mine in Cape Town were then invited by the president to Tanzania, and I actually joined with them. And Africa, where we went, it's jungle. It's not for a lot of people. So some of the people that went, we said, you know what, this is not for us. This is too wild and too rough, and I mean it's 4,500 kilometers from South Africa in the middle of the jungle, and it's not safe to be in a foreign country with no communications in those days. Interesting story: we had a very big baobab tree, and the only way that we had any communications was to climb up in this baobab tree right to the top and then keep your cell phone up. If I think about it now, I just want to actually laugh. You keep your cell phone up and you pray for a signal, and then when you get the signal, you're on speakerphone, and it's just, I think you hear every 7th or 8th word, and that's the way we communicated with our families.
Right.
But yeah, so what we did is we actually dived the rivers up in Tanzania. It's close to a place called Songwa, and that was a very rich area with diamonds just below the Williamson Diamond Mine, where 5 specific rivers came together. And that's also where the birth was of one of my international patents, when one specific evening we had the most amazing storm, a tropical rainstorm, and everything just washed away. We found our excavator kilometers down the river, our vehicles, our generators. So for about a week, we just had no food.
Right.
And I said to my boot that's currently staying in mainland China, I said to him, one day I'll make a meal where I just put a little brace on the side and
self-heating meals.
Itself up and that's where the idea was birthed. And
wow.
I did a lot of research, and after my time in Tanzania, I started researching and developing. And in 2007, we had the patent registered. I think it went. We applied. We got the patent in 2008. And our first big business was we had 2 million meals supplied to the Beijing Olympics. All the military and the police, that was in uniform. So that was my first experience with big business. In China, when you talk about 1 million of 2 million meals. I had the biggest fright in my life when I went home that night, and I did the calculations of what we need to buy. And for them, when I went back to the office next day, and I had my Chinese partner speak to the people, it was like, oh, so we're going to make 10 bags. They weren't shocked. They were just, okay, when do we start? They are incredible people. When it comes to the commercial side of the world, they just the most amazing people. They never stop. They work until the work is done.
Right.
And at the peak time of our business, we had 30,000 people that were working in different shifts for us, and we had an average workforce of 9,000 people. But at the really big times, we were supplying United Nations with 30 and 40 million meals.
Wow.
We had to get huge staff complement in to get those orders. So yeah, I've been very fortunate to travel the world, very fortunate to be involved in very, very interesting business. And the sad thing about being a businessman and an entrepreneur is that a lot of your businesses fail.
Yeah.
I've tried so many things in my life which just failed. And the sad thing is that you hurt some people with that, and you hurt yourself. But you know what? In life, I've learned lessons that you got to move on. You got to move on and forgive and forget, and just try the next thing. And
Right.
I think if so many entrepreneurs in the world write books, they will tell you that they have failed so many times, and only a few times they were successful. And I'm very, very grateful for all the times that I failed, because all the times that I failed has taught me who to be today, who I am. And that's someone that's humble, and I greatly care for people. And I think that's one of the things where we are today in Plettenberg Bay is to really care for people that's in need.
Yeah. Now, I've talked about your philanthropy in the intro. We'll get into what you're doing in Plett in a minute. But first of all, tell us about the Tangem Limited, the R5 stores. What were they back in Tanzania?
Tangem Limited was a company that we formed in Tanzania for the actual diamond mining, and then the export of diamonds all over the world, to South Africa, to Tel Aviv, which I had great connections from the military days. So the 5 Rand shops, when I started in South Africa, was an idea where it actually came from the $1 concept in America, where everything inside the shop is $1. So what we did is we opened 5 of these large warehouses, which macro size, where we then distribute wholesale to the 680 shops that we had. So we would, example, in those days, would buy 4 tins of baked beans for 3 Rand, we'll pack it and sell it for 4 Rand to the shop owner, and they add their profit, and then they sell it for 5 Rand. And that was the concept. So everything inside the shop is 5 Rand. So when somebody walks into the shop with 50 Rand in those days, they literally walk out with 10 items. Well, unfortunately, the way inflation works in the world is, if you look at what baked beans cost today, 20 odd years later, there's just most probably you'll get 2 tons in 5 Rand packaging. So yeah, I was bought out by a big corporate, and actually the money that we made from the 5 Rand business, that's the money that I took with me to Tanzania to develop the mining industry. We had about 103 people working for us, and I must say this, it's I've met so many amazing people in my life, but the Tanzanian people are special to my heart. They've got the biggest of hearts. If I see how they protected me as a Mzungu, a white skin, as they would say, I'm sure you're familiar with that word. Yeah. It was just amazing. So that was my life, and up to 2007. And then from there, started moving into the east. I've been staying in Hong Kong for a very long time, commuting up and down to Pretoria. Several businesses.
Before we go into that, I should have actually greeted you with Bariako.
Aber ja, Jumbo.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Hong Kong, or you set up business in Hong Kong in 2007. Tell us what happened there. You had a fight with a
Yeah,
pharmacy,
so-
or a big pharmacy tried to confront you, didn't they, over one of your products that you brought out? Was that at Hong Kong?
Yeah, you know what we actually we had a factory in Beijing who developed with us with the Beijing University a weight loss product, and we started that in South Africa in 2009. As I said, I was involved in several businesses,
Right.
and our business just exploded. We did more than $500 million turnover in 10 months. There's actually 580 million turnover in 10 months.
Wow.
And the moment that you get so big so quickly, you attract a lot of attention. And what we actually accidentally did was that we attacked the blood pressure market. So the moment that you lose weight, one of the first things that go down is your blood pressure. So what actually happened was that we unknowingly were fighting the big pharmas where people were not taking blood pressure tablets anymore because they were taking our product and they were losing so much weight. And we were closed down literally in 15 minutes. They said that we had a banned substance in our product. We then subsequently sued the Medical Control Council in those days. And the interesting thing was, what they never knew is, when you bring a product into South Africa, any medicinal or medicine product into South Africa, it gets stopped by Port Health. And Port Health then send it away for test, and then it comes back and they release it to you. So what the MCC forgot about was the Port Health section. So the day that they closed us down, I took out all the reports. And I said, but here's all my reports. And since that day, we never heard from him again. And it's been, I actually said to you this morning, we've actually had some of our court cases just let it go. After 10 years, I've not even gone to court because everybody just disappeared who were attacking us. But once again, you know what? We had 4,170 agents in those days, selling 10,000 units of our products a day. I think Style Magazine at the time said we were the fastest growing company in Africa. But you know what, once again, with the unfortunate thing that happened to us where they closed us down and slandered our names and tried everything to just to destroy us.
Right.
In those days, that was when I learned the biggest lessons of my life, to be very, very careful when you do business, to see who you're going to upset. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business and whatever I do now, whenever I go into business with big corporates, I would make sure that I rather become their friends than their enemies. And unfortunately, that's business. That is just how it works. I've got no animosity or hate in me or anything for anything that happened to me. It was just a very special time of my life, and I think that formed me to who I am today.
Right. Now, how long were you in Hong Kong for?
So to get it from 2007 up until 2016, when I just flew back one day and I just saw my kids just growing up so quickly, and you miss so much time with them. And my oldest boy at that stage is Marius as well. He was homeschooled, and my wife said, you know what, why don't we just get out of the big city? We were in an armed robbery one evening at a garage in the eastern side of Pretoria, where I stayed at Silver Lakes, and several people were shot that night, and I was lying in the actual garage, little convenience store. And your whole life flashes when you heard all these shots and windows breaking, and I got home after that, and I said to my wife, this is the choices that you have. We're leaving, and you're leaving with me or without me. And she said, well, where are we going to? And I said, we're going to Plett. And she said, well, do you want me to start packing? And that's how we ended up in Plettenberg Bay, just to come and have a more peaceful life. My whole life has been so rushed and away from your family, and I just thought to come to Plett to more like as I said in Afrikaans, platteland, and then just try and relax and have a better quality life. And I must say it was the best move that we ever did in our lives, to move here for our family, for our kids. Our kids absolutely love it. It's just something about, I was brought up in Pinetown, and to be able to be a child, and you stay close to the ocean is much different to someone who stays in the big cities.
Right.
It's something, once again, it's a feeling, it's a spiritual thing. And so no, we absolutely love Plettenberg Bay, and I don't think we'll ever move away from here.
Well, I actually lived in Pinetown in the 1970s, which is another interesting overlap. What a small world.
Very true. I was in Gelofte High School in Pinetown, and we stayed in Patfield Park on the way to Kloof. I'm sure you know, from Pinetown you go up the highway to Kloof.
Yeah.
So it's a good part of my life as well. Matriculated there, and good part of my life.
I lived near to Kloof as well. I was in North Road. But anyway, continuing with your journey. So you decided to move to Plett in 2016. So you've been in Plett now for about 3 to 4 years in total. And you've had a huge impact on the community. I mean, they've really embraced you, and your skills, because you are now the CEO of Plett Tourism, which is an extraordinary, to get that sort of recognition and support in that short period of time speaks mountains. Now, when you first went to Plett, there was a huge incident that happened which related to fires and stuff like that. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, you know what, the big problem with people moving to a new town is, there's a culture in a town. And when we arrived here from a big city, it was a big eye-opener for us to see that you've got cliques, if I can call it like that.
Right.
You've got people who's got their friends, Afrikaans people, the English people. And I said to my wife one evening, I said to her, how do we get involved in this community? I mean, it's such an amazing place. How do we get involved? Well, it just took 24 hours later for us to be involved in the community when the fire started. And I went down to the Jock here at our mall, a very small mall. And as I walked into the Jock, the lady at the door said to me, who are you and what do you do? I said, I'm Marius Venter, and I've been very involved in logistics and disaster relief over the past many years. And she took me to a guy called John Stewart. And as John saw me, he says, well, you got sent. We have a big problem with logistics. And I just took over the logistics and the food part of this and the clothing, and distributed all over, and got involved in the community. And I just saw how big the heart was. I had a good friend who stays in Vietnam, David Miller. He was actually the guy who sent me the first detail of the post that you put out after the Twitter
Right.
rant with that lady in PE. And we got so involved, and I just saw how people will give their lives to save other people's lives. And the FMUs in our town, and the PBCPA, which is the security arm of Plettenberg Bay, and just how amazing the people, how everybody, black, brown, white, everybody working together with a common goal is to help the person next to you who can't help himself at that stage. So it was a really humbling experience. With all my travelings around the world to all these major disasters, you get to those places, there's not a lot of people that help. We normally the first people that go in there with the first responders, people that actually try and recover all the bodies and try and save lives of people that's stranded on islands and those type of things, like
Right.
what happened in Thailand. So for me to see how people got so emotional and just gather around each other to help, I mean, that was just such a heartwarming experience that I think, and that just got us straight into the community, and that we fell in love with this place and the people. The people are just amazing. And then we had that was the first fires, and I think there was another fire in 2019 that spread over to the Tsitsikamma. And once again, how we evacuated people up the R340 to Uniondale, And just once again, how the same people gathered around, feed people, got them clothing, got them bedding, set up their whole lives again after the fires were gone. And now here we are, COVID-19. Once again, the community is just phenomenal.
Yeah, we'll talk about COVID-19 in a second. I just want to address people watching. We got well over 200 people watching us at the moment. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Marius, just drop them into the side chat, and I'd ask the moderators to just take those questions and post them later so I can put them to Marius. Okay, so with the fire situation now, several homes were burnt down, weren't they, at that time?
Yes, we on the southern side of Plettenberg Bay. There's a small community called. It's actually the Griqua community. It's actually Griqua Holy Land, as they call it. It's called Kranshoek.
I know Kranshoek very well.
Yes, the fire came through from Neisner's side, and actually on the part of the cliffs it went through, and a few houses got burned there, and it just made its round around there to the farmers, and a lot of the farmers lost their houses, they lost their workshops. Wade Semlet is one of the people that we helped. You know, he lost just about everything. And what we did is myself and Sally Turner and Neville Peterson put a NGO together called the Plett Fire Fund. And then once again, as I said to you this morning, Tony Labner and some other funders just graciously put a lot of money into our NGO. And we managed to give those people their lives and their livelihood. We've rebuilt their houses, we've did all the applications, the planning, the architectural work, and we just gave their lives back. You know, and what we've done is, you know, I believe in give dignity to people. So a lot of people lost wooden homes, like the shacks they call them.
Yeah.
But what we did is we gave them brick and mortar houses. So we gave them dignity back. It saddens me to see that when you lose and how the people stay. I just not get it over my heart to just rebuild them a small 3x3 meter wooden hut. I said I can't do that. You know, the house we built, it's got hot water, it's got showers, it's a proper house.
Fantastic.
And houses are 72 square meters. So that's just, you know, giving back to the community. That's just who we are and what we do.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you another remarkable coincidence here, and it is quite astonishing because I know Alan Lafleur and Cecil Lafleur very well personally. I actually wrote the book Children of the Mist, and that's the Griqua history. And I actually in 2007 they had a special celebration because they'd got the book and they were so excited by it that they invited me to Kranshoek, and we had supper there, and the whole community came in, and we had speeches, and they actually sang the Griqua national anthem for me, and it was just quite extraordinary. I love the Griqua people. They have a fascinating history.
Oh no, very true. No, amazing people, and I actually, you know, I'm on their groups, their community groups, their security groups, and their service delivery groups. So I'm very close to them. There's a big part of my heart that lies with the poor people in Plettenberg Bay, and there's a lot of them. And you know, the interesting thing about South Africa is you will go into Kranshoek and you'll see this absolute poverty, but they always smile.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy, and you know that just touched me during the time we rebuilt those houses. Is how humble these people are. They've got nothing. I'm literally saying they have nothing, and they're so humble and so grateful. And I mean, I get a call from one of the people there every single month, just to thank me and say thank you for the house, thank you for the house. So. Yeah, I know they're amazing people. The Griqua people is amazing. But like all the people in Plettenberg Bay and all the other areas, you know, that we've got amazing people in Plett.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because they're also very, very Christian. I mean, their original turn to God was back in the early 1800s when the first missionaries went through into the interior, when they lived in a place called Griquatown, which is north of the Orange River. And that was after the coloured community were moved out of the Cape as the place developed, and they found themselves basically being shunted out. So they went up to Grikkotown and moved across South Africa, across South Africa. But they've kept their religion the whole time, and that's one of the most wonderful things about them. That I don't know if you've seen them with their beautiful white, the ladies in their beautiful white outfits with their little, like Afrikaner or Boer hats on. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I haven't seen it in front of me, but I've seen it in some of the booklet that I've read
Right.
about Plettenberg Bay, and obviously the tourism in Plettenberg Bay. I've seen it a few times in some of the magazines.
Yeah.
No, amazing people.
Yeah. All right. Well, now let's move on to where we're at right now with Plett. You were brought in March this year by the Plettenberg, the board of the Plettenberg Tourism Committee, I guess you could say, to try and stabilize things with what's going on with the coronavirus and now with the lockdown and all these different things. What is the situation? How has that lockdown impacted Plettenberg Bay?
Oh, greatly, Scott. I think a lot of people are really worried. I know my wife, for instance, is worried about my boy that's in matric this year. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to this year? What's going to happen to the exams that's lying ahead? And my personal opinion is that we haven't seen the end of this. I think we most probably going to have another 30 to 60 days lockdown. But that's in the presence. And I see the jump in the figures. That's a great concern to us, and it's a great concern to the economy in Plettenberg Bay, because we've got a lot of people that earns money on a daily basis. There's a lot of laborers, carpenters, plumbers, a lot of people that work, on a weekly income. Now that there's no income, not at all. So that's why, we've decided, and when they appointed me as the tourism CEO, I never knew that this will hit us. We had a very interesting plan set out, a small, medium, long-term plan for Plettenberg Bay and the tourism industry, and then COVID hit us. So we had to change our whole strategy. And we will beat this. It's not going to be easy. I think a lot of people, there's information suggesting that 50 million people around the world will lose their jobs, of which 25 million of those people will be in the tourist industry. I've just heard our next door neighbor saying that they have to sell their guest house, and we it's just about a month now, and it's a problem. It's a great concern to me that I think I think, as they said, that more people are gonna die from hunger than people are gonna die from the COVID virus. I think that people are very resilient. I think South African people always stand up, we always fight, we always go forward. But I'm greatly concerned.
Yeah.
If we talk about the tourism industry, the one positive thing, and a lot of people might slaughter me for this statement or the comment, is luckily in the period where we're going in now from 1 May until up to the end of September, that's normally the quiet months in Plettenberg Bay.
Right.
And I said to a friend of mine this afternoon, it actually couldn't happen at a better time for Plett, which is a tourism. Yes, the sad thing is during the past month and a half, a lot of people has lost their work. A lot of restaurants are going to really battle to open their doors again because of cash flow, rent, all those type of things. So I'm greatly concerned, but I'm sitting on the COVID task team in Plettenberg Bay. And on a daily basis, we're putting plans in place to make sure that we can look after the people, we can look after our farmers. I'm very, very close to the Western Cape government, where I sit on all the disaster management teams and all the clusters, where we really go out of our way to see how we can stop people losing everything they have. and we won't stop. We will go forward, and we will get through this, and we will keep on helping people until the day I can't anymore.
Right. I have to ask you a question about this because I think the lockdown that the ANC government have brought in is probably the worst thing they could have done. You know, it's fine if you've got a first world country like Australia where you don't have shanty towns and townships where everybody is living basically on top of each other. The Minister of Health himself said that probably 60 to 70% of South Africans will get COVID-19 anyway. Now, surely a better way to have gone when you consider South Africa's fragile economy would be to just have no lockdown, but actually protect or isolate the elderly and people who've got ailments that make them more vulnerable to the virus. In other words, let the economy continue, keep those people isolated, and just let the virus go through, have your peak, go out the other end, the economy's still going, and the virus has done its job, and then once it's basically gone, then take off the isolation of the elderly and the people who are most at risk. That to me, in a third world country, which South Africa is today because of what's going on, you know, with the ANC government, it can't enforce the social distancing. I've seen so many videos, and you probably have too, where in the townships they're just carrying on as if, you know, it's normal, and it's a perfect petri dish for the spread of the virus. What are your thoughts on that?
Scott, you know what? I'm of the opinion. I think our president did the right thing. What you say about what's going on in the locations around Plettenberg Bay and around South Africa with the social distancing. Let me explain this to you. My heart break to see this. During the past 2 years, I was very involved in fighting crime as well in Plettenberg Bay.
Right.
And a lot of times we go into the local townships at night to go and help people that's been stabbed or shot or whatever. And you know, you go into these small little 3 square or 9 square meter wooden homes or shacks, and there's 5 people inside.
Yeah.
So how can you, if you're in Plettenberg Bay, we now at the end of summer, you know, today was a very, very hot day. How can you have 5 people in a 8 square or 9 square meter shack? You can't. People needs to be outside. You can't stay inside. So it's a terrible, terrible, terrible scenario with the social distancing. It's just impossible to go into the townships and do that. It is just impossible. So what we're trying to do is, and what we've been doing, we've now got 15,000 masks out to people in Plettenberg Bay. We've just received another 50,000 this afternoon to buy another 3,000, I think 3,000 masks. Excuse me. And so we're going to do everything in our power to make 45,000 masks, just to, even if those people need to be outside in their garden, not walk around in the streets. At least they've got a mask on. I'm busy now implementing these yo-yo tanks where we're going to put 5,000 litre tanks with the F10 disinfectant product free of charge in the areas around Plettenberg Bay, the townships, where people can go on a daily basis, fill up their 200 mils or 500 mils, and make sure their hands are clean, make sure they wear their masks. And it's an educational thing, you know. It's a, you know, this is the first time, I think, in 100 years that it's happened in South Africa, and I might be wrong. But the thing is, you know, we're not used to this. You know, if you know the culture of the African people and the colored people, we're social people. They love storytelling. They sit around the fire at night and they play African music. So it's extremely difficult to tell these people that you're supposed to sit inside your shack. You know, I said to my family, my sons, I've got 3 boys, the other night, you know, if I was staying in KwaZulu or Koweni or in Bosjeskloof or one of these areas, there's no way I'll be sitting in the house. It's just impossible. It's just impossible to sit in 25 degrees Celsius during the day inside a shack, which most probably goes up to 40, 42, 45 degrees Celsius. And you've got small little kids. There's no running water. It's difficult, Scott. It's not easier. There's no perfect plan to this. And I think the president had to do what he could. And when I see what happened in Plettenberg Bay, we had 5 people that were infected, and thank God all of them is now cured, double tested again, they're all cured, and we're very fortunate. So I think it's got something to do with us, having people at their homes, and thank God we're not stuck at home. We can still limited movement. You can still go to the convenience store or to Pick and Pay or one of the larger retail stores to go buy your groceries. And it's interesting when you go to see people, how they abide. And it's all colors. They've got their masks, hands get sanitized when you enter the shop. They do their groceries and they go home. And we South Africans, we love to greet each other with a hand. And
no, it's an elbow.
No, it's an elbow. Chinese said you kick somebody with the feet. So but it's not easy, Scott. It's not easy, and I think there's challenging times lying ahead. And I just hope and pray that it doesn't hit our country as hard as it did in China or Italy, or now if we see what happens in America. I just hope and pray that we don't go that same way.
Right now, with this lockdown that's going on. It's had a huge impact on your economy in Plettenberg Bay, like it has around South Africa. And one of the things that you're involved in now is providing food parcels to the people who are impoverished. Tell us a bit about that and how that works.
Yeah, so what we've done as part of our COVID task team, what we've done is we've engaged very closely with the municipality in Plettenberg Bay and then private donors. So the municipality graciously gave R1,050,000 rand from their budget, of which they financed 3,500 meals. That's about 73 tons of food that's delivered to us literally in 24 hours at cost. And what we then do is the community got together. We packed 3,500 food packs, and we distributed all of that in 2 days. So we literally started the Friday on Easter weekend. We started Friday, Saturday, Sunday we took a break, and Monday by 12 o'clock it was done, packed, distributed. And then obviously you get problems with that, because we have an indigent list of people that applied for the SASSA grant. And unfortunately we only had enough money in the budget to feed 3,500 people, but 6,000 people applied. But to give an example, just the past few days after the weekend, we've managed to distribute between 300 and 500 food parcels from private donors in Plettenberg Bay, people that would fill up trolleys at the convenience store. And so we helping where we can. And the very nice thing that's now happened is Tony Lubner and a team of his investors, as I said, they will always come forward, has given us a large donation, which we would now buy 300,000 meals over the next 3 or 4 months.
Wow,
so
that's the way to go.
My plan is to make sure that we feed every single hungry mouth in Plettenberg Bay. We are sending our truck tomorrow to Cape Town to collect the first 8 tons of food. It's an amazing product. It's called JAM, J-A-M. It's Joint Aid Management. 25 kilograms of the raw material. You only add hot water, and it can feed up to 500 kids a day on 25 kilograms. It's a 50-gram meal, and it can feed up to 250 adults with a 100-gram meal. It doesn't sound a lot, but I had the food. It's delicious, number one. Number two, it fills you up. It actually keeps you full the whole day. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to open all the soup kitchens. We're going to try and see if we can get about 50 soup kitchens where we can get the food to, and then from there distribute to families the raw material and let them cook it at their own houses. It's once again going to be an educational thing that we have to do to make sure that people know exactly how to do this. But I think, Scott, I'm all about hope, giving hope to people. I think if you open my mind and my heart, I think you'll see it says hope. I love to keep people hope. I love to keep my word, and you know what you tell people, you always do it. So what I want to do is from Plett tourism side and the greater community of Plettenberg Bay is to make sure that we give hope to people in need, people that can't help themselves. You know, we as entrepreneurs, you always have a plan to try and make more money and a new scheme, as they say. But somebody that's a day laborer that works at a hundred or two, say 190 or 250 rand a day, you know, he's got nothing. He has got absolutely nothing. If there's no work for him for the next 3 months, they've got nothing. And unfortunately, what do people do if they've got nothing? They revert to crime, because if your family is hungry, how do you feed your family?
Exactly.
You need to sort your family out. So it's a vicious circle that I would just like to stop and say, you know what, wait, Plettenberg Bay, we are here for you. And once again, you know, all these people going around and slandering us and all the racism going on, you know, I'm so sick of it. You know, we all in the same boat. And it's no sense just one part rowing on the one side, because we're just going to go in circles going nowhere. So my plan is just to help people, feed people, and make Plett great. You know, Plett is the most amazing place. As I said, you know, our branding is Plett is a feeling. I never want us to lose that feeling. I want us to have a great feeling when this is all done. And when you feed people, you change lives. And that's my plan.
Right. Now, talking about Plett, what is the official Plett Facebook page called? I mean, how can they find it on Facebook?
The Plett Tourism, www.plettourism.com.
Right.
And then, you know, everything about Plettenberg Bay gets posted. I've got the most amazing team around me. The social media team, Patty Butterworth, it's just, they're absolutely amazing. Cindy, who is our manager at the office, I mean, she runs the ship so tightly. And, you know, it's a privilege for me to work with people that's been in the tourism industry for such a long time. And, you know, there's a culture that was formed by Peter Wellington, who was the previous CEO. And, you know, I've got big shoes to fill. And, yeah, and it's a tough time. It's a tough time for me to take over in COVID. But you know what? My whole life, I'm very calm when it's disaster around me, because, you know, being in the line of work that I've been. So I'm very calm, and I believe that we will all walk out of here better people. So yeah, I'm not too worried where I'm sitting at this moment, to be honest, because I know there's structures in place. I know the people will be fed. I know the crime will be under control, and the feeling won't leave us.
Well, I think the big thing that's going to really benefit from the experience that you're going through in Plett, and I think everybody's going through, but from what you're doing in Plett, I think the big benefit is that the community will be working so much better together once you come out the other end, because they've had to.
Yeah, you know what, I've just on the start of the COVID lockdown, I've implemented the decontamination of Plettenberg Bay, where we literally fogged all the areas which is high risk, all the taxi ranks, communal areas, the ablution blocks on the beach. We have decontaminated every single taxi in Plettenberg Bay, every single taxi rank, all the neighborhoods, the main town, the restaurants, the malls, the garages, you know, and the fire brigade actually starting tomorrow again to continue that. And in the next week or 2 weeks, we'll do a massive decontamination again. Once again, to be proactive, to make sure that we curb that spread of the virus. The F10 SC product that we use is the same product that they've used in Singapore, in Dubai, a lot of places in China, which is it's been in the market for 26 years, and it's a product that kills the coronavirus. It's been actually used in the veterinary industry for quite a while. You know, coronavirus has been around for 20 years, but in the animal industry, in the canine industry. So this product has been successfully used for many years to fight that. So the research that's been done to date now, I mean, all the clinical trials, so many things, it actually kills 99.99% of all known bacteria and viruses to mankind. And that's the fogging agent that we used in Plettenberg Bay. 100% safe, non-toxic. We've got all the toxicology reports, and it's a most amazing product. We're actually starting. Well, we've been contacted the past few days from some of the large prisons in the Eastern and Western Capes, where we've now seen in 3 different prisons where the COVID infection, it seems, was taken in by wardens, and now the inmates are infected. So we're doing everything in our power to assist them to get product to them and to make sure that they can decontaminate those areas as quickly as possible to make sure that the virus don't spread. Because you can think for yourself, in a prison where there's supposed to be 1,000 people, there's 3,000 people there.
There's no social distancing.
The virus wiping out, not at all. It's almost impossible. So I've put some systems in place for them to see how we can fight this and how we can do it. But yeah, it's a challenge. Every single day, it's a challenge, and I love it. Because I'm a solution man. So if we can. If problems comes our way, what we do is we find solutions and to survive. We are all survivors, South Africans are survivors.
Well, I have to say that I think Plett is very, very lucky to have someone like you in the community. I mean, you obviously are someone who gets results and gets things done. Now, is there something you would like to say to the people watching this video now and just to the wider community who will be watching the video later, because we get a lot of people who watch these videos, maybe a day or two later or maybe even a year later. What are your thoughts right now about Plettenberg Bay and why people should come to Plettenberg Bay and once things settle down? Just tell us what you think.
Scott, I think what we've shown in Plettenberg Bay over the past month and previously is that we can stand together as a community. We are a tourist town. We survive on tourism. And I believe that the moment that all of this is done, people will flock away from their homes to go on holiday. And I believe Plettenberg Bay will have one of the biggest and best seasons ever this coming December. Because we got to understand that there is a lot of wealthy people coming to Plettenberg Bay. And it's sad that the middle and lower income people will suffer. But a lot of the really wealthy people who's got the big houses here in Plettenberg Bay and the big corporate CEOs, life will go on for them because they've got the backup of financial backup. But I believe that the Plettenberg Bay will put structures in place. We'll bring festivals to Plettenberg Bay. We will promote our domestic travel to Plett, where we will make sure that our local destinations will firstly benefit, they will survive. We will make sure that the people don't lose their work, and we will get specials for the domestic travel people to come to Plettenberg Bay and come and experience this feeling. And then I'm involved with Rage. I've been involved the past 3 years with their operations. And I had so many kids that's never been in Plettenberg Bay. And after those 7 days in Plett and the experience they have, they said, for the rest of my life, I will come to Plettenberg Bay December and all holidays because this is the blessed place on earth. I had one of the world's best DJs here from Ibiza at the Grand Lookout Deck here in December. They did several shows here. And the guy just said, if I have a wish today, I would wish that Plettenberg Bay becomes the second Ibiza of the world because this is the most beautiful place on earth. And with the mountains and the bay, and what people don't maybe know is in the winter time we have snow on Formosa Peak, which is the mountains just to the north of Plettenberg Bay. So you've got the wind. Let's not forget about the wind. You always have the wind in the Cape Province. We have the most amazing sunrises, the spectacular sunsets. We have whales. We have so many things in this town. Adventurous sport, the bungee, fishing, people riding their bicycles, running in the forest. So many people, just for interest sake, going into the forest and get fresh porcini mushrooms, which grows in the pine trees here, not far from Plettenberg Bay in the crags. The polo. There's just so many things. The offering that we've got as a destination for the world, I don't think there's a lot of places on earth that's got what we've got. And Scott, we will keep on promoting our place. We will offer people an experience, a destination which they will never forget. They come here with their family, As a guy said to me the other day, when you come to Plett, you don't want to leave Plett. And, that's what we want to establish here. We want to invite people. We're going to start a campaign as soon as dream now, pay later. So if you want to book your accommodation. There'll be a small deposit for some of the guest houses. Some of them will not even ask you for a deposit now. But it's important to understand that deposit that you will pay will keep those doors open. It will pay a salary. It will pay the water and lights. It will pay the rates and taxes. So we ask people to book because that will sustain our future. The people in town will survive on the deposits as people will pay for their future bookings. So I want to encourage people to book. If you don't want to come to Plettenberg Bay, any place else, pay that deposit because that deposit will make sure that establishment will not close their doors. And the ones that are currently closed, to make sure that they open their doors again. And yes, just from our side, I just want a big thank you to the people that support us, and the people in Plettenberg Bay that goes out every single day. They give their lives for other people. They've opened their hearts, and it's just, as I said previously, it's a humbling experience to have so many amazing people around us that really cares. Even somebody that gives us a tin of baked beans or a tin of fish, that contribution saves a life tonight. And it's just amazing to be here, and we will not stop. We will keep on going. We will keep on fighting. We'll fight for the poor. We'll fight for the needy, and we'll fight for our town. And I think I want to leave you with that. Plett is a feeling. Come to Plett and experience the most amazing feeling. And when you come, you will not want to leave.
Fantastic. Well, I have to tell you that as I said, I've been to Plett a couple of times, and it's a most magnificent spot. It really is. Now, I'm just going to address the side chat and people watching. To the moderators, are there any questions that I've missed that people have been asking? I think people are just really enjoying what Marius had to say. That's a general discussion here. If there are any questions, please post them now, because it's been over an hour, and I know Marius is a busy man, and I really appreciate the time that he spent with us this evening. Okay, I'm going to just fire one last question to you, Marius, and that is that where do you see Plett being in 10 years' time?
Well, you know what, Scott, I would love. I'm gonna give you my dream. This is me, Marius. This is not something about the town. I would love to see Plettenberg Bay be a second Stellenbosch. I would love to see Plettenberg Bay have a university. I would love to see Plettenberg Bay have more private schools, because a lot of people in Plettenberg Bay are sending their kids away. We have Witterdrift High School here, which is an amazing high school. We have a few other high schools, which is just it's fantastic high schools. But we need more private schools in Plettenberg Bay, because when you have the right schooling in a place, people will come from the cities. I see what's going on in Plettenberg Bay. You can't get rental properties because there's such an influx from people coming from the big cities because of crime and other relevant things that happens to them there, that they want to come to a place where they can have peace and quiet and be safe. And I think in the next 10 years, if I can have a dream, is because our quiet months, as I said, from end of April until the beginning of October, if we can turn that around by having a university in Plettenberg Bay, we'll have firstly major development.
Right.
We'll have housing development. We can get all the people in Plettenberg Bay to start working. I'm really close. I've spoken to a few large corporations in Singapore. I'm very close. Companies in Singapore, is to try and get investment to the garden route, get investment into Plettenberg Bay, to start putting factories down here, get factories which can employ people, because our biggest problem in Plettenberg Bay is unemployment. Unemployment is a big problem, especially after this COVID now. We're going to have a big problem with employment. So if we can put structures in place where we can develop Plettenberg Bay, where we can have out of season, we can have a stimulus for our economy to make sure that, and as I said, if we can have a university, it will stimulate this town so much, and there will be so much money coming in. We'll have so much people having work, and that, if I have a dream, that's what I would say. If we can have that in town, and we can become a second Stellenbosch, I think Plettenberg Bay will be. It's amazing already, but it will be spectacular in the future.
Right. Well, look, I've just got to say, from a personal perspective, you really inspire people. I can see that, and it's funny because Electric Fan, don't worry about the username, he's a regular follower of the live stream. He says Marius might be the next mayor of Plettenberg Bay, and Gordon says, does Marius want to be involved in politics? I think there's a bit of a nudge coming there. What's your views about getting involved in politics?
Scott, I've had this question many a times, and let me tell you that politics is a dangerous world.
It is.
As I said to you, I've had my run-ins with the corporates around the world, the large corporates. But let me tell you, I think one of the most difficult jobs that anybody can have is to be a president or to be a mayor of a town, because you can never satisfy everybody. You'll always, I said to you this morning, you'll always have haters and you'll always have lovers. You'll always have the darkness everywhere. And the moment that light comes in the darkness, that becomes a problem. I've seen how I've been slandered in this town and in my career. And a lot of people will do that because, number one, it's not their idea. So when you have the idea, they're actually jealous of the idea. When you have success, you have a lot of enemies. A lot of people, you would have not done nothing to them, but just because you're successful, people will hate you for that. And to answer your question, God willing, if it's supposed to be that way, that I must be the mayor of any town, Plettenberg Bay or wherever, then I would grab that and I will bring a different dynamic to a town, because my leadership skills is first and foremost to lead by example, and secondly is to help where we can. What I've seen, and I'm not going to mention any specific political party or anybody. They all fall into the same groove where they will do anything just to get a vote. Right. I've learned in my life, and when I've had so many staff working for me, if you do things the right way and you lead the way, people will follow you. They will do anything for you because you get respect by loving people, not by doing anything else. And people give you respect when you keep your word. Unfortunately, in the global political sphere, that is a big problem where people don't keep their words, and they don't actually care. They don't care about the voter. They care about the voter only when it's time to vote. They don't care about the voter the moment that they've been voted into office. But I must say, I've seen a change in Plettenberg Bay. I've seen a change in Bateau, our local municipality. I've seen how people are really gathering around to fight this virus. And if it's supposed to be, I've learned in my life, it will be the way it's supposed to be. If it's meant to be for me, then it will happen. If it's not, then there's something else for me. So that's why I hope I've answered your question. It's a very difficult question to answer, but it will be the way it's supposed to be. And if it's bestowed on me to be the mayor, then I will do everything in my power to make Plett even more great than it is at the moment.
Fantastic. Now, just to confirm, the website for tourism is pletttourism.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's 3 T's in the middle?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me just put that into the side chat. So now, okay, we're talking about if people want to come to Plett, they can go to that website and see all the different accommodation available through that?
Yes, that's correct. And you know, we have a lot of partners. So let me just, I see my battery is just about to go. I've got about another minute or two, and then sorry for that.
Not a problem.
Scott, yeah, you know, we've got a lot of accommodation on our system. We've got booking there on our website. It's a very informative website. We post information there on a daily basis. Please go and have a look. As I said, I've got an amazing team behind me. You'll see our video we've just posted about Plettenberg Bay. You'll see where Plett is empty and it's just been locked down for a little bit, but soon we'll welcome you back, and then the music starts playing and you'll see all the amazing things that you can do in Plettenberg Bay. And I mean, that specific video that we've put together has broken all records of viewership around the world. And you know, just the comments of people. I don't know where Plett is, but I will definitely come there. So, you know, we'll put videos together in the near future. We've got a cartoon that's coming out in the next, I think, 48 hours to explain to people about the coronavirus, and we're going to let it go viral into all our groups, on the WhatsApp groups. So we're very proactive.
Right.
Now, please, so go to the website, have a look at our videos. For the people that's never been in Plettenberg Bay, please come visit us. You know, contact our tourism office, speak to them, tell them what your needs are. We'll put a budget together. We'll put an adventure sport program together for you. We will make your stay a memorable one.
Fantastic. Now, your peak period is like spring to summer, isn't it? That's your traditional peak period.
That's correct, Joe. You know, the only sad thing now is we've got a lot of swallows. It's people from overseas that stays in Plettenberg Bay for 6 months and then they move on.
Yeah.
You know, as they move with the summer. And we've lost a lot of that trade. We lost a lot of those swallows that's left back to Germany and France and Europe. But you know what? As I said, the people will be back. We just in a lockdown now. We're recouping, we're regrouping, and we'll be back. And we'll be back with a big bang.
Fantastic. Look, to everybody who watches this video, please consider Plett for your next holiday. I mean, you can see what a dynamic man Marius is and what they're doing for everybody in the community at Plett. If I was in South Africa, I know where I'd be staying for my next holiday, and that's Plett. Unfortunately, I'm in Australia, so it's a long trip. But if I come to South Africa, I promise you I will come to Plett, and I will look you up. And we'll go and have a lunch together and just have a chat, because I find your story absolutely fascinating, and we've had so many areas where our lives have crossed in the past. I just want to thank the moderators in the side chat for all the excellent work that you've done. I know we've had a couple of trolls in here. Thank you for dealing with them. And for all those people who are watching the video and those who watch it in the future, thank you for joining us. And again, I'm going to plug Plett. I think it's the way to go for your next holiday. And finally, I just want to thank our guest, Marius. I know he's running out of juice in his mobile phone, but Marius, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and you are an extraordinary man, and I'm sure we'll be chatting to you in the future.
Scott, yeah, thank you so very much, and yeah, thanks to all the listeners. And I wish you well as well. And I wish you all the success with your community program, what you're doing, and also all the feeding schemes and stuff that you and your program is involved in. Yeah, and please, if you ever come to Plettenberg Bay, we'll welcome you with open hands, and we can't wait to see you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, guys, I'm going to shut down the live stream now, because I think Marius is just about to drop out because of the low charge in his mobile. Please take care, and don't forget, tomorrow morning I'm going to be going live with Patrick, who's doing that journey up to Boshoff to go and help that struggling white family. We'll be covering his journey live on this channel. Alright guys, take care and bye for now.